Hi again, everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about getting you started with the work papers as well as what's going to be due. You're going to be needing to do this week and getting ready to turn in next week. So let's go ahead. You should have seen a message that I sent out. Um, message that I sent out just a short while ago. It's about 11:30 on Tuesday right now. Um, that lets you know that I have posted a bunch of stuff out on eCampus on your content page for our class. And I'm looking at it on my other screen here. It's called Almost All Things West Virginia because I'm going to put a different folder where you're actually going to be uploading your completed assignment files. Um, so it's got the welcome and setup video that I posted earlier today. It's got the second link is the data downloads folder. And so what that's going to be is whenever you click that, it's going to take you out to a folder on uh, my Google Drive. And you have to be logged into your Mix account in order to access it. If you're not logged in through your Mix account, it's not going to let you open it up because it is restricted just to folks with the West Virginia University credentials. So you have to be signed in to get to it. Anyway, go out. The listing where you guys signed up for your teams, I went through and beside each team name, I listed the months that you're going to be working with. So you can go out, you can download the two files for your months. There's no need to, the files are huge. There's no need to download any others because I don't want you to present any analysis for more than 2 months. So there's just no benefit to going out and downloading more than the ones you're responsible for. I guess if you are just really curious and want to do some analysis that you're not going to present, then that's fine. But otherwise, there's no need. Um, so you can go out, you can go get those. Speaking of which, for the handful of folks that hadn't signed up for a team yet, I went through and assigned you to teams. So you'll need to go look and see what team you're on, and you'll need to make contact with your other teammates. That's one of the reasons I have everyone put their mix usernames on there because then you have their email address. You can put that and put that at mix.wvu.edu, and that's how you can get a hold of your team. I really need you guys to check your emails whenever it comes to getting stuff done for this project because we do have to continue to work through things, and unless you're going to set up some kind of a chat thread or just something like that with your teammates, which is fine. That would actually probably be the best thing to do. But if you don't want to do that, then you'll need to be checking your emails so that you can get back and forth with each other. Giving the excuse, well, I didn't hear from any of my teammates whenever they've sent you email after email, that's not going to be an excuse that we can use that will save you from losing points. Your participation's necessary, and so if you're not checking them, and you should be checking them anyway, I mean, let's be honest. I understand the desire to, for instance, not have your email on your phone. I mean, I guess my question would be, are you getting that many emails to your Mix account that is going to mess up your day? Probably not. Let's be honest. I mean, I get tons of emails and it's not enough to mess. I have 3 different Gmail accounts linked and 2 professional email addresses all linked to my phone. It doesn't come through that often, but I can pick it up and check it every now. So that way, if I do have something that comes through, it's there. My dog is ever in the corner, yawning and making all sorts of weird noises. Go to sleep. Anyway, all right. So let's run through what I put out there, and I'm going to run through the first set of work papers and get you guys started. So I'm going to share my page. Drag you guys to my other screen. Share. And share this screen. And I'm going to put me in the corner again. A little bit smaller. All right, there we go. All right. So I'm not going to go into detail. A couple of the documents that are out there are just things that have been put together uh, by the state of West Virginia. This first one is just a one page describing what the purchasing card program is. It's worth a 3 minute read through because just does give you some of the sort of insights behind how the cards work. Again, nothing major there. Another file that I put out is the state purchasing card policies and procedures. And this version, yeah, was revised August 2024, and it should be the most recent one. Basically, I certainly don't expect you to go in and read all however many 30 pages or whatever it's going to be, but this gives you some ideas about what the cards are for, what they're not for. If I go to section 9, fraud is the deception deliberately practiced in order to gain unfair, unlawful, or in order to secure unfair, unlawful gain. It doesn't really tell you what not to use that for, but it is putting like the employees on notice. Um, Examples are for misuse and abuse. Examples include but are not limited to, you're supposed to maintain security, paying for items of which the PCAR service is not authorized for payment, purchase of authorized goods or services at terms that are excessive, restrain purchases to circumvent assigned credit limits or to avoid applicable uh, purchasing bid limit requirements. I think somewhere, I don't remember exactly, somewhere through here, it gives you, sort of a breakdown of some of the rules of things you're not supposed to be using them for. Maybe under, I think it's under this instructions for use somewhere. If you look in that area, I think that's where you're going to find it. So anyway, it's out there for your reference to go look at, and you can always use control find to try and find specific things. But yeah, it's there. All right. So those are pretty straightforward. Let's jump over now to a couple of Excel files that I loaded. The first one is going to be this MCC code. Yeah, merchant category code MCC list. Now, if I page all the way to the bottom, you can see, even though it says 9999, there's not quite 1,000 items listed. Now, I got this one from, I think this one was from Bank of America. No, yeah, Citibank. I got this one from Citibank. Um, the MCC codes are pretty standardized across the credit card market or whatever. So you can go basically to any major credit card company or bank and download a list. I downloaded this one from Citibank fall, and here it is. But basically, this is a listing of almost 1,000 things and what they could potentially show up as on a credit card statement. And that's what we're getting. We're getting data downloaded from the credit card data, which is basically, it's not the statement, but it's the transaction as it would appear on the statement. So this gives you an idea of just what's out there, what you might see. And you can even, I mean, if we just do a control find and let's say we just type in alcohol. So we got alcohol beverage wholesalers, drinking places, alcoholic beverages, bars, taverns, nightclubs, cocktail lounges. This code, I don't know. I assume the last part's X, but I don't know what disco X. I have no idea. Yeah, so just those two. Tobacco. There we go. Cigar stores and stands. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe cigarette. No. Okay. But like that's something else that they're not that I know they're not supposed to be using them for. And you can, I mean, you can even look like if you even start because like the word in that's very true. Imagine anything. There's some of that stuff that I thought, oh well. But you can see here all kinds of different, there's swimming pool sales and service. There's bowling alleys and stuff like that, funeral services and crematories. Um, just literally just about anything that you can think of that could end up on your credit card. And then there are several other categories that so like other services not listed elsewhere, cable and other pay, piece goods, notions and other dry goods, direct marketing, other marketers. So there's a lot of other stuff that guess you would is what would show up if you didn't have, if you didn't have it listed somewhere else. Anyway, this is here for you to reference to so that you can, browse through it. You can search it like I was and just to learn, try and figure out some of the things that probably shouldn't be being used. I think I think there's a, no, I thought there was one that said diamond, but there's just plain jewelry. What I've done is watch, clock, and jewelry repair, precious stones and metals, watches, and jewelry. Yeah, done this enough. I swear I thought I'd seen some of these others, like tobacco and adult and so anyway, it's out there for you to reference to as we get into the actual like where you're doing analysis. All right, so here's the big file that I put out there for you guys, and this is the file that we're going to be working from. This is basically going to serve as our set of audit work papers, and you're going to be turning in the same file over and over again. Um, Now, I'll clarify this whenever I go to actually post these assignments. Only team leaders will be turning stuff in. I don't need, you know, 60 files turned in and, they're groups of 3 and 4. And so I have to figure out like, oh, I don't have to grade this one or this one because it's already been, just the team leaders turn them in and then I can allocate grades to everybody in the groups. That's easy. Um, so this is the file we're going to be working from. You'll update the name whenever you resave it each time, and you'll be surveying this file over and over. So let's quickly run through it, and we'll talk specifically about the stuff that you need to be working on this week. So first tab, audit data analytics project. This is just some older text that is breaks down kind of what the project is and what you're doing. It's pretty straightforward. The grading rubric, now I do, it gives you examples of, what are really good work papers. Like whenever you're doing your work, what is good work versus okay work versus bad work versus great work. I would hope that everybody's, trying to put in effort to be over here in this upper half um, of getting this stuff done. You don't have to go through and put your names and stuff like that on there. All right. Audit plan. I've left this in here. I don't make you guys fill it out. Maybe I should, but I don't. Basically, your audit plan is kind of like your guide. It's going to guide you through everything that you should be doing. Now, it's not going to necessarily break it down into individual, like, test this or test that or whatever. Um, but it's going to give you like, okay, now is whenever you need to do, start your testing. Now is when you need to do this. And theoretically, you would be going through as you completed each one of these steps, and you would be checking off, who did it and where it's at, and what tabs it under. What's the work paper reference? we're not going through it, but it's here so you can see, like, okay, what should I be doing next? Oh, it's on. Yeah. All right. Now, entity operations. This is going to be the first thing that you're doing, and this is basically I want you guys to get familiar with the kinds of entities that are going to be talked about within our data. And I gave you guys an example. I'm going to read it because I want to point out parts of it as we go through. So the first one, Board of Education. So a Board of Education, they manage and run schools in the county, including employing teachers, staff, and bus drivers, and physical assets such as buildings, buses, maintenance, fuel, maybe some cars and trucks and recreational vehicles. It is responsible for feeding children, buying books, running music programs, and administering athletic programs. General hours of operation would be probably from 5 to 6, if you think about like when cooks and janitors and stuff are there. Monday through Friday with occasional weekend hours for athletics or emergency meetings during the pandemic. Schools often deliver instruction services virtually. So there was a lot of use of computer equipment and internet services and provided meals to students. Generally, schools are not open during major holidays or during the summer, with the exception of certain athletic or music activities. So what all did I cover there? Well, I covered the kinds of things that the kinds of expenses we would expect to see. You know, what do we have here? Related to the physical assets, we might have, fuel purchases or, maintenance services. It's also likely that we're going to have, if they're feeding students through the cafeterias, one of every Board of Education's biggest bills is from some kind of food distribution company because they're providing food all over the county. So it's not unusual for the food distribution company to be like the biggest, supplier to a Board of Education. That's just pretty common. Now I'll put other things here, like the times that it would normally be open. Why do we put that? Well, because if you're doing a test, say you think, hey, they should be done by 6 o'clock. Why do we have all these charges at 2 a.m. to Amazon? Well, that raises some red flags. If nothing else, the timing of when the purchases are made makes it weird. And you can argue whether or not Amazon itself is weird. Amazon's one of the biggest suppliers to every different department, everything. Oh, excuse me. I swear, I'm never not tired. Hate that when that happens. Anyway, so I've done the Board of Education. What I want you guys to go through is split these up and go through and put together your thoughts on, the rest of these. There's several of them. It's going to take you 15, 20 minutes each if you split it up. Now, here's the easy way to do it. And I know this, you know this, we all know this. You could drop this folder or this worksheet in Chat GPT or Claude or whatever, and it would spit you out answers. And I'm actually okay with it spitting out answers as far as, what's, what kind of stuff are they, should they, this different group, utility board or solid waste authority, like what kind of things should they have going on? But don't copy and paste it. The thing that happens whenever you copy and paste stuff is I know you're not reading it. If I thought that you were getting it and reading it and being like, okay, that makes sense, I'm going to copy and paste it over. If I thought that was happening, that'd be perfectly fine. I don't think it is. I think that people copy and paste so that they don't have to do anything else, literally anything else. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's also very obvious. These things could be answered in 2 or 3 sentences that made sense to me. But whenever you have, Chat GPT or one of them, answer, describe municipalities, you're going to have something that's 2 or 3 paragraphs long. And, it looks like it's been written by, some ancient, um, you know, what would it even be? Um, it's just so perfect and so much more than what it would even be. I was going to say, like, you know, some ancient professor somewhere. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Someone that sits around and types in like perfectly uh, practiced prose with all perfect grammar and everything. And it's just, there's just no point. There just isn't. Um, anyway, I want to go through and I want you to think about each one of these, Google them, see what they are, and then write out a description for them. So that's the first work paper. It's 1-0. That's the first one you want to do. Now, from there, we are going to move on to the preliminary review. Okay, so this is going to be work paper 1-1. Yeah. So let's look at what is that? What the instructions are here. So review the explanation of fields file, which I don't know that I uploaded that one. I need to add that one. Well, that's because I didn't copy and paste, didn't copy it over to my new folder. That would explain it. Let me open it up so you guys can see it. Yeah. Explanation of fields and entity types. I need to upload this for you. So this is going to give you it's sort of a breakdown of what all the different columns are that you're going to see in the data file when you open it up. And so this is, again, this doesn't have every single column, but it has all the important ones and what they're called and what is in them that you need. And then, yeah, this was a summary that was done. You can see the summary was done back in 2019, and we're still using it. But I mean, the stuff is pretty much the same. These are some of the entities, but we also have a lot of others. But this is how, some of them are abbreviated to different things, and you're going to see some of those abbreviations here. But really, you don't have to work off the abbreviated names. You can work off the actual, like, what they are as far as sorting and cutting and dicing and all those things. But this is here so that if you're not sure what a column is, you can go look at it. I will go post. I will go post this for you guys. Okay. So looking at the explanation of fields file, open and review the data file and map the explanation of fields information to the file. Now, all that's saying, I don't expect you to physically look and type back and forth, but let's pull up an example file that I have here. And you will see now, whenever you open it, all this section that's black, you're going to have data. It's just this has got identified, and this is going on YouTube. So I've taken all the identified data. Now, this first column, this yellow, I added. And I can tell you it comes from column BR right here, this level 2. There's an account code in that, and that account code has like a cheat sheet of, this is what that code means. Does it mean commission? Does it mean what else? Board of Education? Does it mean whichever, whatever the different entity types are? Well, those aren't in there. So I added them in instead of asking you guys. So there's a lot of county commissioners to start this one, municipalities, board of educations, volunteer fire departments. And the reason you see the things repeated over and over is, one, you've got more to do them, but you've got 55 counties, and some things are split up, other things are consolidated, but you're going to oftentimes see you know, all the different counties have some of the same items because it's common. So anyway, as you look through and you see the different names, you can cross-reference those over if you're not sure what something means. If we get over now, I did leave here transaction dates and like the transaction amounts and stuff. So this is going to give you, I think most things, source currencies, US dollars. Every now and then we'll see a purchase from somewhere in Canada or something, but usually it's US dollars. Um, the sales tax is there. Now, what, sometimes you'll see, you'll want to test things um, and see if like there's what would it be. I mean, what is it? There could be negatives, like if something's returned, like Amazon returns. There's negatives that you want to look at. Um, you might have recurring charges that you could look for. This is also, you're going to be using this specific data. Um, you could also sort it by, I'm trying to think, I can't remember, my mind is drawn completely to a blank before you could sort it on. You can look for outliers and stuff like really expensive stuff. Um, there are sometimes things like there's a cap on the cards, but sometimes like 1 year, if the school system is purchasing computers, maybe they work out a deal with the vendor that they're going to let them, buy all the computers on the county purchasing card or something so that they can get like the benefits and rewards. So you might see some really high stuff in here. You might see repetitive stuff. You might see out of state stuff. Again, you're going to slice up this file and come up with some tests that you can do to, try and analyze it some. So this is what the files look like, and they go all the way over, like I said, right here to BW is how many rows there are, or columns there are, including the one that I added in. Okay. And then here, entity descriptions. This is how I got those. I copy and pasted this from a cheat sheet workbook that I have, and I literally copy and pasted it in here, and then did a VLOOKUP and codes entered. And then the last one, this is just like how did they run the report. This really doesn't tell you anything other than it's the date as of, and that's about it. The full account number that you don't really need. So that's what the main reports look like. So I go back over, I want you to look through it just so you get an understanding of it. Now, here's what I want. Here's the big thing. I want you to go through. I want you to brainstorm, and you can brainstorm on your own, but it's been scientifically proven over and over and over again that group brainstorm proves to be much more successful in coming up with ideas. You don't have lots of repetition. You just all get together and come up with ideas of, okay, which MCC codes or keywords or merchant names, like what's going to be a red flag. And I want you to just sit back and put your thinking caps on and think about like what would look really strange to me if I see this in my data set. And that's basically it for this one. I don't expect you now. Here's something everyone always asks. There's a lot of boxes in here. There's 21 rows. I don't expect you to fill up all 21 rows. You're welcome to. You're welcome to. I absolutely don't expect that. I expect you to fill up, 7 to 12 of them with ideas. Absolutely no need to use them all. So don't do that. But I want you to go through and write out here why you think that that's an issue or something that your team should be focusing. So that's 1-1. All right, 1-2 is where I want you to actually go and do some kind of analytics to help understand the data. So in this instance, we're not looking for potentially messed up stuff yet. Right now, we're just looking to understand the data better in general. So like in this first example, they did a count by the MCC codes and whatever, and just trying to get an understanding of like how often are the different codes used in a particular month. Are there any that aren't used at all? So that's what that test was doing. And you can see 1-2A, that means that they would have come down here, added a tab, and called it 1-2A. And they would have put whatever the analytic was going to be. That's what you would put here. And so you need to have a work paper reference for every single one of your tabs, and every single one of your tabs needs to have a work paper number. Okay, so that I can trace things back and forth. Now these are just examples. You don't have to use those 5 at all, obviously, but you do want to make sure that you're getting enough things looked at and considered. Again, amongst your group. If you say to everyone, hey, do 3 or 4, you're going to get some repeats. Maybe someone has to redo some, maybe a couple of them just let go, whatever it happens to be. But then after we get through it, and I want you to write out like sort of how you're going to do it. Okay. So that is work paper 1, 2, and then you're going to have any additional little schedules or anything there. And then 1, 3 is where you do your findings. So you see these are all linked. These are going to pull over whatever you type in these boxes. So if I type here, my dog is sleeping, and then I go down here, you can see when my dog is sleeping. So what they want you to do is say, okay, you wanted to test, what would happen if your dog was sleeping. Well, what were the results? Whenever you went through and you filtered by this, or you sorted by that, or you filtered this out, or you filtered this in, or whatever. Whenever you go through and do all that, what are your findings? And by findings, I mean, what do it's not the word expect's not the right word, but it's like what do you want me to consider? Like what did you consider? What do you want me to consider that you thought of and that you were working with? So basically, your results might be, oh, there's 35 transactions to this small place that should never have that many transactions. Some middle of nowhere rural county that is popping up whenever you're searching by big purchases, and they have a bunch of brand new stuff purchased or whatever. So you're wondering like, where did the money come from? So we're not into the fraud aspect yet, but we're getting ourselves familiarized with our data sets. Okay, that's it for the first work papers. I'm not going to start on 2 and 3 right now. We've recorded long enough. I don't want to wear you out with it. But these first few tabs, 3 or 4 tabs, I think it's 4, are going to be what your first homework assignment is going to be. And I will make it do the first part of next week. And so you'll have not quite a week to get it done. But again, you only have to do these first 4 tabs, and they're pretty straightforward. You got to put some thought into it, but they're pretty straightforward. So that's it. I'm going to go add that one file out there so that you guys have it. If you have any questions, like I say every single time, don't hesitate to reach out. Feel free to get a hold of me, and I will try to respond as quickly as I can. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much. Let's stop the recording. Stop.